In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Montegrappa Tarvisium Fountain Pen with Dolce Nib. I'll go over the specs, I will do a writing sample, and I'll tell you what I like and don't like about this pen coming up. Blake here with Blake's Broadcast. On this channel, I review fountain pens, paper, and ink, and as always, I put links in the show notes in the description below. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, it really helps out my channel. Alright, let's get on with the review. Here I have 3 Montegrappa Tarvisium fountain pens. These are really nice quality fountain pens. There really isn't any pen that Montegrappa makes that is low quality. These pens are, I believe, North American exclusives or US exclusives, and the materials, if you look at them, they have really nice chatoyance and depth. This color here is called the Carson. This is the Paradise Falls. This is my personal pen. And this is the Paris in Bloom, which I think also looks really cool. Now, the name Tarvisium, I believe, is, I had to look it up. It's Latin for the Venetian town Treviso. So that's what this is named after. Price-wise, the retail price of these pens is on the higher side, $375 with a normal nib, or $435 with the Dolce nib that I have on this Paradise Falls pen. I do sell these at the Paper Mind, and I have them for a very good price, $248 for standard nibs and $288 with the Dolce nibs. So let's walk through the pen. We'll walk through the Paradise Falls. This is my personal pen, and you know, I'm not necessarily somebody that goes for really sparkly pens, but when I saw this one, I couldn't say no. And when it's on my desk, it's just, I find myself looking at it. So a lot of times this will go in a drawer, so it's not so distracting, but it's just really, this material is a wow. These pens are made out of a US made aluminite, which I guess is some kind of plastic. They're turned from solid bars of that. An interesting thing about Montegrappa, it's my understanding, is that they use 0 injection molding in any of their production. Even on the inside of the cap here, they use Delrin, I believe is what it's called, cap liners, and those are turned as well. There's no injection molding. Now, design-wise, this is a pretty good-sized pen compared to a Lamy All-Star I have here. You can see it's a decent amount longer, and certainly the cap is wider. It has a flat top on the cap and then a sort of cone point at the tail of the body. The body does taper towards the tail. There's sort of a spot right here where you can feel a much more aggressive taper towards the tail, whereas here it's more gentle. Now, on the cap here, we have the Montegrappa logo in metal. Looks very high quality. We have a very attractive looking clip here. There is a sharp line that goes down the middle of it, and it sort of breaks to the side with a hump in the middle there. And in Italian style, it is a roller clip, and this thing rolls super smooth. Very nice clip here. You can see, can you see? There are these 2 little pins here that hold it in place. It's 2 pieces. Very nicely made clip. Very well finished. The metal trim on any Montegrappa is excellent. Then we have a single cap ring here which says Montegrappa. I believe this is laser engraved, but it's very nice quality. It looks good. Made in Italy on the back. Same type of engraving, so you can feel it. There's definitely nice texture there when you run your fingers over it. And in terms of uncapping this, it is, oh, looks like 1.5 turns. The threading on this pen is very short metal here, well finished. We have this step down here, and then we have the threading, and then a grip section that kind of flares out. This is a thinner grip section, I will say, compared with Montegrappa that I'm more used to, which is the Extra 1930. It is noticeably thinner, But I've been using this pen for over a month now. It's really comfortable. It's not so heavy. The pen does post, and it posts quite nicely. It does become long, but I never find it uncomfortable when I'm writing with it posted. The pen does come with a threaded converter as well as two Montegrappa cartridges, and the Montegrappa cartridges are really nice. They have a silver foil debossing on the cartridges. They just do such a good job. And look at the fit and finish on this piece here, which you really never see, where this sort of collar that goes over the converter, it's all brushed here and just really nice threading. Montegrappa quality is really, really excellent. Now, the nib is a number 6 Jovo nib with Montegrappa's mosaic pattern on there. One of the best looking nibs here, nice stamped engraving. It's not laser engraved, and these are threaded, so it's very easy to unscrew and put in a different nib if you wanted to. Now on this pen, I have the Dolce nib by Gina Salarino. So this is sort of a fine cursive italic, and you can see there is an M on there because this nib started out as a medium nib. And standard plastic Jovo feed there. Now let's do some measurements. Looking at about 144, 143 long. Unposted, looking at 135. Posted, I will say this becomes quite long posted, although I for whatever reason, it balances really nicely in my hand and doesn't feel uncomfortable. 175, so very long posted. So if we look at the grip section, at the widest point here, 11.3, and then at the narrowest before it kind of flares out, 9.6. So it's really not that skinny of a grip section. I've been writing with this thing an absolute ton, and I've had no comfort issues with this pen. But it's just my initial impression from coming from other Montegrappas. It was like, oh, this is thinner than what I was anticipating. This is with a converter. I'm almost out of ink in this. 28 grams, which is what you would kind of expect for something that's turned from a solid bar of resin, and 17 grams uncapped. Now, in terms of size comparisons, here it is with a Lamy Vista. You can see it's a little bit longer than that and definitely wider than that. Here it is with a Sailor King of Pen Eero Miyabi, so you can see it's not quite that large. Here it is with a Aurora Optima. So it's a good sized pen. Definitely a full-size pen, not quite oversized though, I would say. For the writing sample, I'm going to be using the Papermind Mitsubishi Bank Paper Notebook. These notebooks are excellent with fountain pens, and for Blake's Broadcast viewers and subscribers, you can get 10% off with code BB10 at checkout. So this is the Montegrappa Tarvisium, hope I spelled that right. This is the Dolce Nib, and this is Hiroshi Zuku Sirio? Oh gosh, that's not correct, but Sirio, something like that. Now, the writing. Now, being in italic, let's see if it can do fast writing. Yep, no issues there. Now, in terms of the italic part of this nib, you definitely have a more narrow cross stroke and a fatter downstroke, but it's pretty subtle and it's very easy to write with. Like, somebody new to fountain pens, I think, would be able to write with this nib without any issue, and you would still get that nice line variation, whereas a more serious italic nib like an Aurora factory italic, that would be harder for somebody to pick up, and it's harder for most people to use that kind of nib every day, whereas this is something that you would be able to use daily very, very easily, and you just get a nice little subtle flair that really, shows that you're using a fountain pen. Nobody would mistake this writing for a ballpoint. Now, reverse writing, you don't really need to do that on a cursive italic. In terms of line variation, this is no pressure. With a little bit of pressure, you can get a little bit, but it's not a super soft nib. It's, standard steel nib with a very nice cut to it. You can just get a little bit there versus, you can see a little difference there. Just been a great writing pen. I've ran out of ink in it twice already, and I've just really been enjoying it as an everyday kind of pen. It's nice to be able to have that little italic flair on a pen that could be used pretty much for everything. So what are my pros and cons for the Montegrappa Tarvisium Fountain Pen? Well, I think there's a lot to like here. With any Montegrappa, the build quality really stands out. This is a very well made pen. Montegrappa doesn't take any shortcuts. When they do a pen, they really don't do anything cheaply. It just feels quality, all the details, even this metal piece underneath that you don't really see, this collar is like polished. It's just, to me, the fit and finish on a Montegrappa is always a wow. That's the first thing that stands out. Beautiful material here. Lots of chatoyance, which, not necessarily something that I normally go for, but when I saw this pen in person, it was just really a wow, and it remains a wow. There's a lot of depth here. It's really, really nice looking. I also am a huge fan of these Dolce nibs by Custom Nib Studio. To be able to have a fine cursive italic that's very forgiving that you can use every day is really nice. And it's really nice that you can just buy that nib straight out of the box. You don't need to get on the waiting list for a Nibmeister and then wait and spend all this money. These are an additional $40 over the standard fine or medium. And I think that's a really nice deal to have a, custom ground nib, essentially. I also really like that the Jowo nibs are threaded, so they're very easy to change out. I know with some other Italian brands, I don't know if they're machine tightening them or they're using adhesive, but it can be very difficult to remove what's supposed to be a threaded Jowo nib. That's not the case with Montegrappa. No issues there. I also find the pen to be very comfortable. It's a full-size pen. When I first got it, I was worried about the grip section maybe being too skinny just because I was used to other Montegrappas which have a thicker grip section. No issue at all. Even posted, this pen is super, super comfortable. In terms of cons, it's a Montegrappa. It's not a cheap pen. I do have them for sale at the Paper Mind for very, very nicely discounted prices at $288 with the Dolce nib and $248 without the Dolce nib. At that price, I think you're getting a lot of value here, but there's no question that, we're looking at a steel nib pen here, $250, almost $300. That's a lot, but made in Italy. There's no injection molding on this pen. It's handmade. If you go with the Dolce nib, you get the Nibmeister's grind. It's a pretty nice package. Other cons, colors are limited. If you want something that, isn't kind of wild looking, this isn't the pen for you. They're only bright, sort of mesmerizing colors. One other issue I did have was this pen doesn't always seal perfectly. If I leave it in my desk for a week, it takes a minute to get it writing again. Now, if it's a couple of days, I haven't really had a problem, but if you leave it for a week, the seal isn't 100% there. But that's pretty much it. Do you guys have this pen? Do you like this pen? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more fountain pen, paper, and ink videos, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. Until next time.